Well, this is interesting. Haven't done this in a hot minute. Let's do this. What's up, my beautiful Cheekadies? Welcome back to today's diary entry. And I know it's been a hot minute. It's been like 8 months since I last spoke to you guys on here, and I am so excited to be back. Last time I checked in with you guys, I was still pregnant, and now I'm a mom. If you are new here, welcome. I am Valeria Alicia. I am a new mommy of a new baby girl. Her name is Isla, and she was born January 4th. She is currently 7 months, and I've been talking about making this video for you guys, and to be honest with you, I actually pre-filmed this video back in like February. I had my mom come over, watch Isla for me, and then I recorded it, but I didn't like the footage that I got. I just didn't like the quality. So I was like, okay, no big deal, I'll just refilm it. And then the pandemic happened. So let's not even talk about that. I think I'll address that on another video, just simply because of where I work. For those of you who don't know, I am a respiratory therapist, and I currently work at a hospital. And so with this whole pandemic and going back to work, post-maternity leave, it was quite a thing. So I do want to address that in a video. I think I may do like a separate video just talking all about that. But for now, let's jump into what you clicked on this video for. So let's go ahead and get started with my birth story. Before I tell you my birth story, please consider subscribing to my channel and be a part of my Cheekadie family. It will be an honor to have you. So let's go ahead and get started. So gosh, it felt like it was yesterday, but at the same time, the more time passes, I'm like, I want to make sure I remember everything. So I'm so glad I'm doing this now. All right, so I'm trying to figure out if I should give you the Reader's Digest version or like the entire thing. And I honestly think I'm gonna give you the entire thing just because I really want to make sure I document it anyway for myself. So let's start off on my last day of work. So my last day of work was December 31st, and I distinctly remember I was feeling a little weird that day. I don't think I remember cramping, but I went to the bathroom, and when I wiped, I saw something that I was like, what is this? So I immediately, you know, Google is everything right now, so we're all doctors. So I looked it up. I was like, what is this? And it turns out it was my mucus plug. So I remember I told Gus, I was like, hey, just so you know, my mucus plug just kind of, I think it came out. But it wasn't what I thought it was. I don't know what I had in my head that I thought a mucus plug was something different than what I saw, or what happened with me, I guess. So anyway, that was the 31st, and I distinctly remember that day I got home and we were contemplating whether or not to go to a party or to stay home. And I told him, I said, you know what, it's up to you, you decide. I'm up for anything. This is our last year together. This is our last New Year's together. So I thought to myself, you know, if you want to do something, let's do something. If not, we can just chill and just watch TV. And turns out that's what we ended up doing. He's like, you know what, I just want to make sure that you're okay, and let's just stay home. I don't want to do anything. So I said, okay. Then fast forward to Friday, January 3rd. And that day was very frustrating for me. I honestly think this is the reason I went into labor, and let me explain why. So that day, I decided to call my workplace and basically have everything set up for my maternity leave. So I was talking to them about that, and that took a good 2.5 hours. I'm not joking or exaggerating. So that was very frustrating for me. And then I was trying to set up for a breast pump, because I had gotten the order from my doctor, but they told me, you know what, wait until you're about a month before your due date. And I mean, it was Friday, January 3rd, and my due date was February 3rd. Wait, yeah, so my official due date was supposed to be February 3rd. So yeah, it was a month before, so I was like, this is perfect, I'm just gonna call right now. So I was trying to set that up too, and that took another, probably a good 45 minutes. So I was so done after that. I was frustrated, but I was like, it's okay, I still had some errands to run. So I went out to run some errands, and I remember I went to the grocery store to get some things. And while I was there, I was like, oh my gosh, I felt the urge to pee so bad. So I go to the bathroom, and both bathrooms are busy. So I'm like, it's fine, I'll just pay real quick, go home, and just be okay. So that's what I did, and I distinctly remember I get home, and I ran to the bathroom. While I'm in the bathroom, everything's fine, but as soon as I wiped, got up, and that's when my water broke. It was like a wipe, get up to pull my pants up, and then whoosh. It felt like, it didn't feel like I peed myself, nor did it feel like, I don't know how to describe it. The best way I've honestly been able to describe this to someone is, you know when you, and I'm sorry, I'm about to get graphic here, okay? But we're all girls here, and if there's some guys watching, you can learn from this too. When you get your period unexpectedly, and all of a sudden you just feel kind of like something happened, kind of like come out impulsively. It's really hard to describe. Anyway, I think you guys know what I'm talking about. It felt like that, but it burnt the side of my thigh. I was like, this is hot. So immediately I'm like, babe, I think my water broke. And of course he comes in and he's like, you what? Your water what? And I was like, I think my water broke. And as I'm telling him that, another gush comes out. So I'm literally standing in front of my toilet, like just pants down. And you know, this happened. So immediately I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have anything ready. I don't have my hospital bag ready. I mean, I still had another month left. So who would have thought, right? So I didn't have my my hospital bag ready. I didn't have my diaper bag ready. I didn't have anything ready at all whatsoever. So I am literally in the bathroom cleaning up. More stuff keeps coming out. Sorry, I'm getting graphic, but this is just how things went. Gus is literally running back and forth to me and to our bedroom to basically pack our bags, because we literally, that day I was making my Amazon order for my hospital bag. No joke. I was supposed to get everything that Sunday and Monday so that I can pack my hospital bag, but you know, we didn't get to that. So anyway, that happened around 6:30 p.m. January 3rd. And so Gus gets as much as he can ready. We go to the car to drive to the hospital. I am literally wearing a baby diaper because I don't have anything with me. And this stuff, once your water breaks, I mean, I don't know if every woman is the same, but from what I'm hearing, you keep leaking. Like, that doesn't stop. Once your water breaks, it just gushes, keeps coming out. It just keeps leaking. So here I am, desperate. I don't know what the heck to do. So then I just grab a baby diaper, and I'm wearing a baby diaper to the hospital. So anyway, we get to the hospital, and they check me in. I'm in triage for like a good, holy crap, it took a while. I feel like we got to the hospital around 7 o'clock, and I didn't get to my room until like 10:30. So it took a long time, in my opinion. So anyway, when I get there, they're of course checking me. Is baby moving? Which was curious to me, because I thought once your water breaks, baby doesn't move, but that's not true. Like, she was active. And so they check me. They're like, are you sure your water broke? I'm like, yes, I'm currently leaking. So I think I'm pretty 100% sure that my water broke. And they're like, I'm sorry, we still have to check you. So they checked me. That was very uncomfortable, but it is what it is. They also did an ultrasound to make sure that there was enough amniotic fluid in there so that she was okay, and make sure that she was facing down. And what's interesting about that day is that in the morning when I got up, I felt a drop in my stomach, and I felt like something pushing like up here by my lower rib cage, and I was like, I feel like that's her legs, and I'm pretty sure she just dropped. Like she just got in position. But some babies are in position for a long time. So again, I didn't think much of it. And then to my surprise, you can lose your mucus plug for a few days. And that happened to me. So my mucus plug started coming out, or started whatever, on December 31st. And then the next day I didn't see anything. But the day after that, I saw it again, and I was like, what the heck? This is so weird. But again, I was like, I don't know. And then I looked it up, and that's when I confirmed that it could take some days for your full mucus plug to come out. Back to where we were. So I'm in the hospital. I'm in triage still. They already did the ultrasound. And then now fast forward to about 10:30 when I go into my room. They hook me up. I get set up and everything. And now because I did not get tested for, oh my God, what is that test? The test that you get at your 37 weeks? I think it's your 36 weeks. Oh, I'm not sure. Anyway, that test that you get done just to make sure you don't have that infection or whatnot, I didn't get to that test. I'll insert it right here. I didn't get to that test. And so they were treating me as if I was, I guess, whatever, as if I came back positive from that test. So I was getting, what was I getting? They were giving me, I was getting penicillin every 3 hours. Now, I don't mind needles. I don't mind IVs. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. But penicillin, that burned. Oh my gosh. It radiated all the way up my arm, and it hurt so bad. I mean, I never complain. I think I can put up with pretty much a lot of pain when it comes to like feeling discomfort and taking pain medicine for anything. But that was bad. And she was like, my nurse, she was really nice, but she was like, you know what, let's just do it slowly so it's a little better. So it lagged a long time. Oh my God. And then she would come in and be like, you know what, I have to flush it so that we can get all of it in, like the rest of the bag, before I get to your next dose, because it had been that long. So then she flushes it, and as it's coming up my arm, it hurts so bad. Oh, I'm reminiscing on that, and that, oh, not bad, not good, not good. So anyway, that has to happen. So every 3 hours, basically the entire time, I was getting penicillin, back and forth, back and forth. So I want to say, because they hooked me up and they're like, I think you're having contractions. Do you feel any pain? I did not feel any pain. On my way to the hospital, when I was in triage, I did not feel any pain whatsoever. They told me that I'm in active labor. However, I did not feel anything just yet. So 10:30, I get to my room. I get hooked up and everything. The nurse explains me how I can go to the bathroom hooked up and all that good stuff, and how can I rehook myself and all that stuff. At about, I want to say like 10:45-ish, like 10:50 p.m., the contractions start. And I distinctly remember I was like, oof, this feels like cramps. But I get heavy cramps every single period. The only time my cramps calm down is when I'm on birth control. And I still feel them. I'm just not as miserable, if that makes any sense. So here I am like, oh, this is like a cramp. Wow, I feel it. And I remember Gus is like, are you okay? And I'm like, nah, I'm good. You know, I feel it, but I'm okay. Go ahead and take your little nap, because once night falls, he gets so tired. He's one of those people that falls asleep as soon as his head hits the pillow. So I'm like, go ahead and sleep. I can, you know, deal. I'll wake you up when I need you, is what I said. So he was so sweet. He's like, just give me your hand so I can hold your hand in case you need me. So that was really sweet. And he did that the entire time. So anyway, 10:45. Things start at about 12 o'clock. Starts getting even more intense. And I'm doing my breathing. And I'm trying really hard to stay calm because it's getting very intense. I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to get an epidural unless I absolutely, or when I absolutely feel like I need it, if that makes sense. So the nurse comes back in and she looks at me and she goes, those are very, very hard contractions. Like I can see them. You can see the spike on the monitor. And she goes, do you want me to give you something? So I asked her, I said, you can give me something? I thought the only thing that we could do was, because, you know, when you take the classes, they tell you, like when I went to the hospital visit, they're like, you can do, what is that, the happy gas, nitrogen, whatever. But that's like a mask, and it's only when you're feeling the contractions. So then you put the mask on, and the only thing it does is take off the edge, is what I was explained. And then there's the epidural. So here I'm thinking that those are my only two options. And she tells me, no, I can give you Dilaudid. So I said, okay, I guess let's try Dilaudid. So then she comes back in with the Dilaudid and she gives it to me. And I feel relief because I can still feel it, but then we're back down to like the cramps level, the low cramps level, like I'm okay. And I'm not kidding you, like 30 minutes later, I'm back to where I was. But I feel groggy. So it's even worse because it feels like, kind of like you're drunk, but you're still in pain. I don't recommend it. It didn't work for me. I didn't like it. I thought I was the problem, so I got it 2 more times after that. So let's fast forward to morning time. So now there's shift change. It's 6 a.m. and through the entire night, I got checked twice. First when I got there and I was at a maybe 1 centimeter dilated. And throughout the night I was like, can you please check me? Please check me. I mean, something's gotta be happening. So my camera just shut off and I think I left off talking about the Dilaudid. So here comes the next nurse and she comes and checks on me. And I tell her, I was like, can you please check me? I really hope I'm making progress, because it had been a miserable night, you guys. I had not slept. I kept hurting. I kept doing my breathing, trying to calm down so we can get this process moving faster. And the Dilaudid was just playing me hard. I did not like it at all whatsoever. If I could do it again, I would not do that. So she comes in and she's like, do you want me to check you? And I said, yes, please do. It feels so uncomfortable every single time they do that, by the way. They have to basically jam up their fingers up your vagina to have a look and feel for how dilated your cervix is at that point. So it was so uncomfortable. Oh, I hate it every single time. And I guess my cervix is tilted, so it was even worse because they had to really get in there. Ugh. So here comes her and checks me out, and I'm expecting to hear at least a 3, and she goes, you're a 1, maybe 1.5. At that point, I remember I looked at Gus.
Could you try?
Oops, my watch thought I was talking to it. I remember Gus looked at me and he was like, oh, because I looked at him and I was like, can we please do the epidural? I asked her, I said, can we please do the epidural? We're not making any progress, and I feel like I think my body is just not relaxing in my head, because that's happened to my sister before. So she tells me, if we do the epidural right now, it could throw you into a C-section because we're doing it too prematurely. And I think I gave her this look like, oh, really? So she took some pity. She took pity on my soul because I think she saw the look on my face. And she said, let me ask your doctor. Because lucky for me, my doctor was there. My actual doctor who I had been seeing, like in his office, he was there, which to my surprise, I did not expect that. He was there. She goes and asks him, comes back. She goes, we can actually do it. Your doctor said yes, so we'll actually move forward with the epidural. Hi, Papito. Garbanzo says hi. All right, so this was about 6:30, 7 o'clock that we got to the point where, yes, we're gonna go ahead and do the epidural. It wasn't until like 9 o'clock that I got the epidural. And I had heard this before. They kept telling me, if you want the epidural 2 hours from now, or if you think you're gonna want it, ask for it 2 hours before, because it's gonna take a long time before they can get to you. And I totally forgot about that. But at the same time, I mean, I didn't think it would take long, but apparently they had a very, very busy night. So finally get the epidural in around 9 o'clock. I can't tell you exactly what time it was, but I distinctly remember seeing 9 on the clock. They get it in. I literally had, I think, like 3 contractions as he was putting the epidural in on my back, and I had to hold still, and that was hard. That was definitely hard, because I did not expect to hold still for so long. After I get the epidural and it takes effect, because they always tell you it's gonna take about 15 minutes for it to take full effect. Well, after the 15 minutes happened, I was zoned out. I think I was so tired, I just knocked out. But it wasn't really sleeping, it was more like anesthesia passed out, I guess. Because I remember after, I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, I wasn't really sleeping, I was just technically knocked out due to the anesthesia from the epidural. So anyway, then they start moving me a certain way. They put the peanut ball in between my legs and da 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 da. She checks me and I was at about a 7. This was at around 9:30. So mind you, I went from 1 to 7 in a matter of minutes here. And I distinctly remember Gus was talking to my mom, and she was like, well, how far along is she? And he goes, well, she's like at about a 7 right now. And my mom was like, oh my gosh, she's gonna have that baby within the hour. And my Gus is like, I don't think so. I think we'll probably still have a long way to go. She's like, well, all right, just keep me posted. She was totally right. So anyway, oh, by the way, I keep going back and forth. Side note, we decided to do this ourselves. We decided we were gonna put our big boy and big girl pants on, and we decided we wanted to do this ourselves. I would have loved to have my mom there with me, but I saw how she was with my sister when she was given birth, and she cannot handle very well seeing us in pain. I respect that. And at first she didn't know how to take the fact that I said I wanted to do this on my own, you know, with Gus. But after I explained it to her, she totally understood. And I would have loved to have had her. I just didn't want her to cry because she was seeing me in pain. I feel like that would have broken my heart. So for that reason, it was just the 2 of us. And I really loved the fact that it was just the 2 of us. And it was hard to explain to some people, hey, we want to do this on our own, because everybody always wants to come there and be there for the hospital, but it's okay to do it on your own. It's like that time, that intimate time that you want by yourself. You know, it's such a private moment, and it's sometimes hard to explain to other people. Believe me, I know. Let's move back to where we were. I was at 7 centimeters, and then they come back in. They start Pitocin on me. Wait, when did they start Pitocin? After the epidural, I'm going back and forth, I'm sorry. So they started the epidural. Then they were trying to start Pitocin on me to try to get things moving, because I was going very, very slow, they said. Because I had been at that 1 centimeter for over 12 hours at this time. So they start me on Pitocin. Not even 15 minutes later, she comes back in. She's like, what is going on here? Checks me. Holy crap. How did you jump from 1 to 7? We're gonna turn off the Pitocin, which I'm so glad, because I hear that Pitocin is really hard. It's a very hard labor. So I'm glad that that was towards the end, to the point where I already had my epidural. So it's fine. So we are 7 centimeters. Then another 20, maybe 15 minutes pass. And she comes back and checks and she's like, we're getting ready to push. So at this point, my doctor had already come see me and said, hey, I have to say goodbye. I'm gonna go assist my colleague in a C-section and then I have to leave, which his 12 hours were up. I get it. So I'm trying to labor, literally have my child as they're in the middle of the C-section. So what happened? I was literally pushing. They were still in the C-section. They were trying to prep me for, baby, do you think you can let me talk to the people here? Maybe? Huh? Please? I think I was talking about laboring while my doctor was in a C-section. So the nurse comes back in and says, we're gonna start getting you ready to push because you're at 9 and you're almost there, so let's start getting you ready to push. So she starts trying to get me to push and she's like, I need the doctor here, like, now. And so obviously it takes the doctor a while to get to me. At this point it's gonna be a different doctor because my doctor's shift was pretty much over. So it ended up being that my doctor finished the C-section while the other doctor that was there for that day came over to me to deliver my child. So I am in the middle of all this. She's asking me to push. I'm feeling insecure because, I mean, what's gonna happen once I push? And what if my child comes out? There's no doctor here. We're not ready for anything. What are you doing? So she's asking me to push. I don't feel much, even though we had turned off the epidural. At this point, I don't feel much. I feel numb. When she's asking me to push, I feel like I'm pushing, but I'm not sure. So I remember at one point I pushed and I just kind of like did a little something and she was like, whatever you just did there, do it again. So she was having me push with my contractions. So every time I would feel a little pressure in my stomach, that's when I would tell her I feel a contraction and I would start pushing. Whatever she did is what I kept doing, and apparently it worked. The doctor comes in and I think I gave her 2 pushes, and then she takes some lube, a cup of lube, and she just basically dumps it on me as I'm crowning. Sorry, I'm getting graphic, but that's what this story is about, okay? So she dumps the lube on me, and she does this little thing where she kind of like goes around just to make sure she lubricates the entire area. And by my next push, she came right out. It was like a and she's out. And at this point, I don't even know how to feel because there was so many people in that room because she was considered a preemie. So I was 36 weeks and 5 days. 5? Yeah, 5 days, because at this point it was Saturday, January 4th. So I was 36 weeks and 5 days. And so she's still considered a preemie because you're not considered full term until you're 37, 38 weeks. So here I am. There's like an audience in front of me. So I'm trying to not be in my head because this is my first kid, you know, this is our first kid. This is a moment, and I'm trying not to think about the fact that I have strangers looking at the situation. So she comes out and she starts screaming right away, and I remember a sigh of relief when I heard her scream because I was fine and I was confident that everything was okay until I saw the rush of everyone come in, from nurses to respiratory therapists, anesthesia, other doctors, and I was just overwhelmed. I didn't expect that, and so I should have known, but I wasn't ready. They didn't tell me this until like the very last minute. And so when I saw the people come in, that's when in my head I started to try not to freak out. And of course, you know, I don't want, Gus is right next to me. He's holding my hand, he's helping me push, holding my leg and all that stuff. And I can't really tell him anything because there is no time, and there's so much going on. So as soon as she comes out, he goes over to her, to baby, and makes sure that she's good. And I'm just basically, I distinctly remember paying attention to every single person and their face because I wanted to make sure that she was okay. That was my concern. I mean, I didn't even care about my body or anything else at this time. All I cared about was her, you know. And so I remember seeing her on the, is it the incubator? The warmer? She was on the warmer and they were cleaning her, and she is screaming at the top of her lungs, and that just, oh my God, I could cry. Huh? Ooh, I didn't expect that. When she started crying, and she kept crying so hard, and I was concerned with her lungs because baby's lungs don't get developed until like 35 weeks, and I was only 36 and 5, so I hadn't had any steroid shots or anything like that. And so for me, it was just like a affirmation that she was fine, you know, like her lungs were okay, like they're fully working, you know, because she's screaming and you need to take a deep breath to do that. And so that was definitely a moment for me. And I remember talking to Gus about it afterwards, and he was like, yeah, it was so exciting to see that she started crying as soon as she came out, because, you know, some babies take a little bit to cry, but she didn't. As soon as she came out, it was just scream and crying, and I literally needed that. I really, really needed that, because I had this moment, I went from this moment of panic to this moment of like relief, and then I got excited and I couldn't wait to see my baby, and oh my God, I didn't think I was gonna get emotional. Wow. Wow. Ooh. Well, that certainly took me by surprise. I guess I hadn't expressed in a way like how that worked for me in my head, because, you know, you're just so overwhelmed with so many things, you know. Your family meeting her, we hadn't told them their like baby's name. Nobody knew except for Gus and myself, and so I was thinking about the moment how I was gonna tell my mom her name. It just meant a lot to me that she got to meet her. It was a very emotional day for me. When my mom walked in, you know, I expected her to go directly to baby, you know, and instead of doing that, she came straight to me. She just wanted to make sure that I was okay before she met her granddaughter. And, you know, in the moment, you're just kind of like, I don't know, I feel like you have this vision in your head about how things are gonna play out, and then things happen so differently, and not in a bad way, but, you know, you just have things calculated in your head. And then, like, for example, with her, you know, I expected her to go see baby because, you know, it's another grandchild, but she came straight to me and she asked me, she's like, so are you gonna tell me her name? So then we finally told her what her name was, and she was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea, because everybody thought that they knew what her name was going to be. And we heard so many guesses and nobody guessed it. So it was really exciting to tell them the name. Even the nurses and everybody asked, you know, what is her name? And we're like, oh, it's a surprise. We want to make sure we tell our family first, you know. And so that was a moment. Woo! I did not expect to get emotional there, but yeah, I honestly, overall, I don't think I had a bad labor. But nonetheless, it's an experience, and not every labor is going to be the same. So, you know, that one got me ready for possibly the next one. I don't know. I'm really hoping that we do get a chance or the privilege to, and the honor of being parents again. So we'll see if and when that happens. And yeah, that's my story, y'all. She is the most amazing little girl ever. I know every parent says that about their kid, but it is 100% absolutely true about each and every one of them. Papito, you just wanna steal the shot, don't you? Sir? I'm kind of busy here, sir. Okay, so I had to take our garbanzo outside. But by the way, side note, I forgot to mention that if you are pregnant or if you've never experienced childbirth before, please by all means either take this with a grain of salt or don't listen to my story. And I know I should have said this at the beginning of the video, but nevertheless, I want to make sure I say this. My camera just turned off again. I'm almost out of battery and I had to take Garbanzo out. So I'm gonna wrap up this video and just say thank you so much for watching. If you guys have any questions, I wanna do another video doing like what they don't tell you about, you know, going into labor and all that good stuff. Like you're gonna be changing diapers for a while afterwards, you know, things like that. So if you guys have any questions, comments, just leave it in the comments below. I respond to every single one of you. I love interacting with you all. So I love y'all so very much, and I will catch you on my next diary entry. Un besote. Mwah. Bye.
She's a Mona Lisa.